AI in Action is brought to you by Alldus International, covering your business's staffing, consulting, and networking needs. Our host brings you the leading minds in AI, sharing their story, their success, and their advice. Focusing on fast-tracking you to the top, AI in Action cuts through the hype to help you kickstart your data science career. To listen to the latest AI in Action podcast, head over to www.alldus.com/podcast or subscribe via iTunes, Stitcher, or Google Podcasts.
You're listening to AI in Action. I'm your host, JP Valentine. Our guest today is Krishna Janakiraman. Krishna is the head of data science at Plate IQ. Krishna, welcome to the show.
Thanks, JP. Pleasure to be here.
Excellent. Well, Krishna, let's start with your own background. Can you talk to us about your own journey, where you first got started in tech, some of the early roles that you held, and take us through your journey up until the point where you joined Plate IQ?
I originally come from India. I did my bachelor's in electrical engineering in India back in 2000. And since my engineering days, I was interested in machine learning because I got an opportunity to work in a research project. During those days, we were working on face recognition using pre-deep learning techniques. So I got a chance to work on that. And that really set off my interest in machine learning in general. And after engineering, I did work on some non-data science machine learning related software jobs, mostly in backend and in front end. But I was still keeping up with machine learning as a side project. And then I finally decided to come to the US for a grad program in machine learning and computer science, information science. And so I applied here and I got into UC Berkeley. The School of Information has an amazing master's program. So I got admitted into that. And there I studied machine learning and also applied machine learning and information visualization. And also, interestingly, music cognition. I was really interested in applying machine learning to music and music information retrieval in general. So that's how I got back to machine learning. And after my grad program at Berkeley, I got an opportunity to work at a research lab from Sprint Nextel. Sprint used to have a research lab in the Bay Area where they were analyzing massive amounts of telecom data sets. And I was part of their research team. And from there, I worked on a couple of startups. And then I finally landed at Plate IQ, where I'm currently the head of data science engineering.
Excellent, excellent. Well, thank you for that background. I appreciate it. It follows the path of engineer and then advancing into machine learning, and now you're covering both the engineering side and data science. So before jumping into the specifics of your role at Plate IQ and how it's evolved over the years you've been there, can you first tell us about Plate IQ as a business, who you are, what you do, and the impact on the industry, and then we can jump into the specifics of your data team.
Plate IQ, we are streamlining and automating the back office processing for different industries that include restaurants, hospitals, grocery chains, construction companies, clubhouses. So what I mean by automating back office processing is automating their accounts payable workflow and also helping them manage their spend, helping them pay their bills, helping them track where they are spending their money, helping them to run their businesses in a much more streamlined way. So that's what we do. We started almost 5 years back, and I was one of the founding engineers at Plate IQ. And initially, we were super focused on restaurants, but over the years, we have actually started to believe that whatever we have built can help not just restaurants, but a whole different verticals across the board. And that's what we do now. So we are helping businesses streamline their back office operations.
Excellent, and you're working with some very well-known brands across those verticals. Obviously, your role would have changed from being one of the founding engineers to now leading the group. Can you give us some insight into what the journey has been like in pure startup and scaling, and then some of the challenges you guys faced along the way?
As I mentioned, I was one of the founding engineers, and I was the first person in the data and machine learning team. So when Ram, who was our CTO and one of the founders, approached me with this idea, it was a very challenging idea. Because most of the data that the restaurants use to do their accounts payable comes as invoices, and these invoices are typically images. They are not electronic PDFs or CSVs or JSON that you can readily parse. So there is this technical challenge where you have to extract structured data from images, and these images are typically not very high quality images. So that was the technical challenge that my CTO approached me with. Initially, it is one of those things where for machine learning, you need a lot of training data. But when we started, we didn't have a lot of customers because we were literally a startup. And we had to really improvise and not do deep learning, but do some very classical computer vision techniques. And that's how we bootstrapped the whole the technical solution to the problem. And over the years, as we started getting more and more customers, we also evolved our technical stack from a pure computer vision, a non-deep learning approach to a more machine learning. And finally, now we are using state-of-the-art deep learning techniques. So it has been a very challenging, but also very rewarding experience.
Excellent, and it's great to hear the evolution of the product, not just in the industries that you serve, but in the complexity in the solution itself. And you touched on now, you're talking about cutting edge deep learning. So, can you give us some insight into the team itself, the breakdown of the team, the different skill sets, and some of the interesting and exciting problems or projects that you guys are working on a daily basis?
My team solves a variety of problems that involve anything from automating invoice processing to understanding the data that comes in these invoices. When it comes to automating invoice processing, obviously we apply deep learning and other machine learning techniques to extract structured data from images. But once we have the structured data, we also apply a lot of data science to understand the data that we are getting from these invoices, like product descriptions. We also forecast prices of different categories of products. And finally, even after extracting all this data, we also help our customers in automating their whole AP workflow, which involves automating the GL coding process, automating their approvals, things like that. So I have a team of data scientists and machine learning engineers, and also data engineers. So it's a team where we have skills ranging from pure backend to very specific deep learning related skills. And we also have a huge data operations team, which is responsible for handling things that involve interaction between our technology and also our human task workers team. Our technology uses a combination of machine learning and also a big team of human task workers who help us in validating the data or the predictions made by our machine learning model, and also help us create our training data sets.
Excellent, thank you for that. The industries in which you are serving have obviously been massively impacted by COVID this year, a lot of disruption. But what it's also meant is smaller to medium-sized organizations who operate in this space have been moving towards automation and process improvement in ways to reduce spend on manual labor and reduce spend on external waste. So can you give us some insight into how your customers have been increasing their utilization of this platform and the impact that it's had for them, for their business, their bottom line, and just help them get through these challenging times?
So I think you touched upon a very important point. So by automating a lot of their workflows, or rather, I like to use the word enhance their workflows through technology, we have eliminated a lot of cost centers for our customers. And more interestingly, with the data that we are extracting from our invoices, we can actually see that for a lot of customers, potential savings that they can make. For example, we see that there's a lot of transparency that is missing from, in general, from the food industry. And a typical customer might be saving thousands of dollars if if we can tell them that they should be paying X dollars for this product, but they're actually paying 2X dollars. We see that time and again, and given the amount of data that we are processing through our platform, we can easily surface those insights for our customers. Just by comparing what they are buying from their suppliers and what they have bought from the same suppliers in a different time period, and telling them that we are seeing this level of variance in your pricing, and helping them understand what that variance is, and also giving them guidance as to how they can talk to their suppliers and get their cost down. So I think a combination of us automating their operations and also helping them derive insights from their own data is actually making a huge impact, especially during COVID times.
Yeah, absolutely, and I'm glad that you're able to talk us through that and give some examples of the types of impact they can have. Taking it back to your own role, you've spent now, I think it's coming up on almost 6 years with Play IQ, and you've gone through the various evolutions and cycles to now growing it to a large organization. What do you love most about your role at Play IQ, and what are you most excited about looking forward to 2021 and beyond for your group?
That's a great question. The thing that I like the most is the people I work with. I have a team of incredibly talented, motivated engineers and non-engineers. And this is not just the data team, it involves the whole company in general. And that's one. And also the fact that whatever technology that we are building has a very clear impact for our customers. Again, we see a lot of our customers saving tremendous amount of money using our product. And to see that the technology that we are building has a ready impact on our customers, I think that is probably the biggest motivation factor for me. And the technology itself is also very interesting. As I mentioned, extracting structured data at the level of accuracy that we have to adhere to is a very, very technically challenging problem. And it's very exciting to use or apply modern deep learning techniques and modern machine learning techniques to achieve that. So it's a combination of working in state-of-the-art technology, working with great people, and building a product that has a very high impact.
Excellent. Final question from me then, for the people who've come in and joined your group and grown with you, can you give us some insight into what their path has been, and looking ahead to the continued growth that's expected for your team? As you bring in people, what will they learn from you? What types of interesting things will they be working on early on, and how can they have an impact on their career?
Sure. So I truly believe in the fact that to be a really good machine learning data scientist, there are absolutely zero barriers to entry these days. Previously, there used to be the stigma that you need to have a really solid mathematics or statistical background to even get into this field. But with all the tremendous development that have been made to machine learning tools, and the barrier to entry is really low. So what I'm looking for in my team members is a thirst for knowledge and the attention to detail, and the ability to pick up things quickly. And obviously they should be good with software engineering in general. That's like a given for any good data scientist or machine learning engineer. But they don't need to have a PhD in machine learning to be a really good machine learning engineer these days. They have to be a really good software engineer, and they should be able to read about machine learning, experiment with different machine learning techniques, understand and translate product requirements into engineering requirements, and be a really good team player. I look for these things when I look to hire people into my team.
Krishna, we really appreciate your time coming on, talking to us about your background, Play IQ as a business, and how you guys have, handled the disruption of COVID. It sounds like you're working on some incredibly interesting projects, utilizing, deep learning. And we appreciate you giving us some insight, and we look forward to seeing what you guys can continue to accomplish next year.
Thank you, JP. It was a nice opportunity for me too.
AI in Action is brought to you by Alldus International, covering your business's staffing, consulting, and networking needs. Alldus offer an exec search program. Alldus can help you discover how data science and AI can transform your company. With our unrivaled network of C-suite executives and senior AI professionals, we offer retained search services across the US and Europe. Get the Alldus advantage. Become a member of the Alldus community and enjoy some of the following: AI meetups. Once a month, our community gathers to listen to some of the leading experts in the world of data science and AI. Our speakers come from all over the world, including Dublin, Boston, and Frankfurt. We also have our AI mentors. Our experts will provide mentoring to Alldus members. And don't forget our AI in Action podcast. Each week we have guests from all over the world talking us through their education, career, and more. Become an Alldus member and get the Alldus advantage. For more information and to sign up for our newsletter, log on to www.alldus.com. That's www.alldus.com. Alldus International, empowering through AI.